Hello, and welcome back to Word for Word, the podcast that puts the building blocks of the English language under the microscope. I'm your host, Avery.
And I'm Melody. It's great to be with you. After diving into verbs and adverbs, we figured it's time to go back to the very beginning, to the first type of word every child learns, the noun.
The absolute foundation. If verbs are the engine of a sentence, nouns are the vehicle itself, and the driver, the passengers, and the road they're driving on.
That's a great way to put it. The classic definition we all learned in school is that a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. And while that's true, it barely scratches the surface of how varied and interesting nouns can be.
Totally. So let's start with the most basic distinction, the first fork in the road for nouns. Common versus proper.
Right. A common noun is the generic name for something. If I say city, dog, or river, I'm talking about the general category. There are thousands of them.
But a proper noun is the specific name of one of those things. Not just any city, but Paris. Not just any dog, but Fido. Not just any river, but the Amazon.
And the golden rule here, the big flashing sign, is that proper nouns always get a capital letter. That's how you can tell them apart. Your name, Avery, is a proper noun. The word podcast is a common noun, but the name of our podcast, Word for Word, is a proper noun.
Exactly. It's the difference between a planet and the Mars. Simple enough, but a crucial starting point.
Okay, so from there, we can divide nouns in another way that's less about grammar and more about philosophy. Concrete versus abstract.
I like this distinction. Concrete nouns are things you can experience with your five senses. You can see, hear, smell, taste, or touch them. A table, music, perfume, a cookie, the wind.
Right, they're tangible, but abstract nouns are the opposite. They're concepts, feelings, ideas, or qualities. You can't touch love. You can't see justice. You can't smell bravery.
And this is often where the richness of vocabulary comes in. We can talk about these incredibly complex ideas because we've given them noun form.
Okay, now let's get into the nitty-gritty, the area that causes so many headaches for English learners, singular and plural nouns. The idea is simple. Singular means one, plural means more than one.
It sounds simple. The easy way, of course, is just to add an S. One cat, two cats. One book, two books. If all nouns did this, our job would be very short.
But of course they don't. The rules start to branch out immediately. If a word ends in S, X, Z, CH, or SH, you have to add ES to make it pronounceable. One bus, two buses. One box, two boxes. One witch, two witches.
That makes sense. It's for the sound. Then you have words ending in Y. If there's a consonant before it, you change the Y to IES. One puppy, two puppies. But if there's a vowel before it, you just add an S. One boy, two boys.
And it gets weirder. Words ending in F or FE often change to VES. One leaf, two leaves. One wife, two wives. But not always. One roof, two roofs. One chef, two chefs. There's no solid rule. It's just memorization.
Right. And now we get to the really fun ones, the irregular plurals. These are the historical rebels that refuse to adopt the S ending.
Like the ones that change their vowels. One man, two men. One foot, two feet. One goose, two geese. These are fossils from Old English, where plurals were formed by changing the internal sound of the word. And others that add N. One child, two children. One ox, two oxen. Again, these are very old forms.
Then you have the ones that don't change at all. One sheep, two sheep. One deer, two deer. One fish, two fish.
Although you can say fishes if you're talking about different species of fish, which just adds another layer of complexity.
And just when you think you've seen it all, you get the foreign plurals, words English borrowed from Latin or Greek that kept their original endings. One cactus, two cacti. One fungus, two fungi. One crisis, two crises.
And even those are fading. It's becoming more and more common for people to say cactuses or funguses. The language is slowly trying to regularize its most irregular members.
Okay, so that's the plural minefield. Tied directly to this is another major concept for nouns, countable versus uncountable.
This is a huge one for learners because many languages don't make this distinction. In English, a countable noun is anything you can put a number in front of. 1 chair, 2 chairs, 3 ideas.
Right, but an uncountable noun, also called a mass noun, is something that you can't count individually. It's seen as a whole or a mass. Think about water. You can't have 3 waters, or air, or rice.
Exactly. And this includes a lot of abstract nouns we mentioned earlier. You can't have 5 informations or 2 happinesses.
And the few tricky ones that look like they should be countable. Furniture is a classic. You can count chairs and tables, but you can't count furnitures. The word represents the whole category. Same with advice and luggage.
So how do we quantify them? We use quantifiers, or what I like to call container words. You don't have 3 waters, but you have 3 bottles of water. You don't have 2 advices, but you have 2 pieces of advice.
A grain of rice, an item of luggage, a loaf of bread. We make the container word plural, not the uncountable noun itself.
It's a really fundamental concept that affects which articles and adjectives you use. You have many chairs, but much furniture. Fewer chairs, but less furniture. It's a deep rabbit hole.
Definitely. Okay, moving on from number, let's talk about ownership. This is the job of possessive nouns.
And this is all about that tiny but mighty piece of punctuation, the apostrophe. The general rule is simple. To show a singular noun possesses something, you add an apostrophe and an S. The cat's toy. The toy belongs to the cat.
Avary's microphone. Melody script. Simple enough. But what about for plural nouns that already end in S?
In that case, you just add the apostrophe after the existing S. So if we're talking about the toy belonging to multiple cats, it's the cat's toy. C-A-T-S apostrophe.
And what about our old friends, the irregular plurals that don't end in S, like children?
Since they don't end in S, you treat them like singulars and add apostrophe S. The children's playground, the men's department.
It's a pretty consistent system once you get the hang of it. The apostrophe is a visual cue that tells you you're dealing with possession, not just the plural.
Okay, there's one last category of noun I want to talk about, and it's a fun one. Collective nouns.
Ah, yes, a noun that is singular in form but refers to a group of people or things, like a team, a family, a committee, a flock, or herd.
And they can be so wonderfully specific and poetic. A murder of crows, a pride of lions, a galaxy of starfish, a parliament of owls.
They're fantastic, but they also create a grammatical dilemma. Do you treat the collective noun as a single unit or as a collection of individuals? In other words, should the verb be singular or plural?
The great debate. Do you say the band is playing well or the band are playing well?
And the answer generally depends on where you are. In American English, the tendency is to treat the collective noun as a single unit. So you'd say the band is playing, the team is winning.
But in British English, it's more common to emphasize the individuals within the group, so you're more likely to hear the band are tuning their instruments. The family are all arriving at different times.
Right, both are considered correct in their respective dialects. The key is context and consistency. Are you thinking of the group as a single entity or as a collection of individuals?
So when we look back, the simple person, place, or thing is actually a massive universe of words with all these different properties and rules.
It really is. From common to proper, abstract to concrete, countable to uncountable, and all the glorious, messy rules for plurals and possessives. Nouns really are the anchors of our sentences.
They give us the what and the who that our verbs can then bring to life. Understanding them isn't just about passing a grammar test, it's about being able to name and organize the world around you with clarity and precision.
Well said. That's all the time we have for today on Word for Word.